got a couple of situations that's happened within my business. So I've got a domiciliary care company, so we provide care in people's homes. So we don't have the, I was saying to somebody earlier that a lot of the time it's very easy for my employees to forget that there's a business because they're going into certain people and they think that's their, that's their job. And a couple of things that we've had is announcing on social media that they're sick before they ring in sick. Drives me bananas, absolutely drives me bananas. And also it might not even be, they won't ring in every single day and do that. I try and really discourage that because I just think it's not very professional no matter what. And then the other time I've had some queries as to how I respond or I don't respond really is disgruntled member of staff if they've handed in the notice and I've accepted it and then they get very upset because I've accepted their notice. And then there'll be something on, they're on their Facebook, I handed my notice and my boss accepted it. And now I can't get hold of her. It's like, I'm in meetings, but those sort of things really, it's how can I control that? Because it's their take on a situation that could actually, especially in my business, I have to be pro my staff all the time and look after my families that we look after. And so that's quite damaging, really. Is there any advice you've got, or have I just got to ignore it forever?
No.
I think you have to kind of take a view and think about how far you want to seem to be controlling while at the same time protecting your business, but also deciding what you're trying to protect your business against. So what are you worried about happening there? Are you worried about other employees seeing it and it demoralising or affecting their view?
I think it's to be honest with you, I think that there's a limited amount of carers in the area. So, and it's quite often that they will jump from one place to another. So, it only takes one sort of bad penny that can give a bad reputation, I suppose. I've gone down the lines of I've not responded to something like that, and I've phoned them directly and not even announced I've seen or been pointed out what's been said or anything like that, and tried to put the record, in a polite way, put the record straight, because I am someone that I want to confront things. But there are other times when I just think there must be something, as an employer, I must be able to, in my induction, say, you shouldn't be talking about the company. If it's something positive that's happened, then shout about it. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but I do. But anything negative has to come to me. But there must be some way that if that happens, actually it's going to affect the reference I'm going to give you, or I don't know, what can I do?
I think you're right. I think educate, inform, set expectations with your new employees, and do that regularly. Your managers or yourself talking to them about, this is what I expect, and I think that's really important. Educate your people around things like their privacy settings. So if on Facebook they say that they work for Continuity Care, and then they say, I hate my boss, or in fact are your friend on Facebook, and then say, I hate my boss, you're going to know about it. And that potentially has some implications. There are some things that you can do around your employer relations, there are things that you can do. But interestingly, we did some, for this seminar, we looked at the amount of cases that involve social media, and I thought it was going to be, every single case we've got is going to have some kind of social media element to it, and actually it was 0.4% of all the cases that we deal with. We deal with 60, 70 new cases every week, and it was a very, very small element. Now, sometimes when they happen, they're big, but actually, as Chloe says, what is the reputation? And there are some cases, aren't there, where it seemed like a terrible thing that happened and it was all on social media. But how many people saw it? Did it really impact your business? It's sometimes difficult to tell.
And I think most sensible people will take those things with a pinch of salt, because at one time or another, there's going to be someone who has beef with their employer and they're going to moan about them. Who doesn't? It's the...
We don't.
Except for us.
Yes. Jonathan.
It's the modern day equivalent of moaning down the pub to your friends about work.
Yeah, I suppose so.
The slight downside of it is that it's a permanent form of it, because it's there in kind of black and white, or however it appears.
But maybe they only got 4 likes from their mum, their dad and their...
I don't think anybody liked it. Or
No, so, yeah, and it quickly disappears.
Yeah.
The one thing what you just said that was interesting, because the one thing with social media that didn't happen, when you went down the pub and moaned about your employer, there was
Or
no...
your employee.
Yeah, or employee, yeah. There was no comeback, whereas at least on social media, you are aware of it, and you can deal with it, and you can comment back, and you can go back. So it's not so bad, at least it's not hidden anymore. So if there are particular issues, like if all your employees are whinging about the company, then you know you have a problem, and then you can address that. Whereas if they're all down the pub whinging about it, suddenly you realise you've lost half your team, and you didn't know why. So there are some benefits to it.
Yeah, it's very true.
I think in your case, it is, you can talk to the person and go back to them, but not necessarily be confrontational.
I think what's really helpful in those is I'm very disappointed. Very powerful.
I think you were trying to get hold of me. I was in a meeting.
Yeah, and the other thing about you mentioned about being sick on social media, you know, it wasn't acceptable to email in, it wasn't acceptable to text in, it's still not acceptable. You still need to phone in, I need to speak to you if you're not well.